Hi guys, Danny here. I wanted to do a quick video on my modified decks. I have seen, maybe it was a hashtag, maybe just a couple people posting about their modified decks. So I figured I'd do a quick one to kind of show where I'm at with mine. I am not, I'm not an expert at modification by any means. I'm actually just getting into it because for so long I was super paranoid about damaging my cards. I was like, I can't, I'm just gonna screw this all up. But I overcame that fear and I dove right in. So let's just start. So the first one that I ever cut, which I took the borders off, was my Gypsy Oracle cards. Why? Because they were cheap. And if I messed up, I would have just been able to buy a new one and not feel, you know, totally guilty about it. But the reason I cut these, they had huge black borders around it with all the different languages, which is great, but it was super distracting because it was like yellow writing. Didn't really care for it. So I went ahead and cut those edges off, and I love the way they turned out. I love the way they look. They're super vintage style art. Sorry, wow, I just moved my whole desk. My bad. Now the only thing I have not done yet is reback or modify the backs, but this is one that I definitely want to try to do. As you can see, when I cut those borders off, it left the back kind of misproportioned. Like there's no more bottom on there, which bugs me. Now, I usually don't lay my cards, you know, face down and then turn them up. So it's not something that's always in my face, but I do notice it when I'm like shuffling. It kind of bugs me. So I think I'm gonna try that. The more skilled I get in modification, maybe the better, right? So that was my first set that I ever did. And then I got these Lenormand cards. They too had a big white border. Now the thing that bugged me the most was that everything is very tea-stained looking. Sorry, I keep looking at the card and not looking at the lens. That's okay, forgive me. They had a big bright white border around it, so the contrast of it was just really harsh, almost offensive to my eyes, if I'm being honest. So I decided to get rid of those, and it just made the cards, I'm like holding them really awkwardly, it made the cards just pop out and have that more vintage feel of the Lenormand. I don't know the name of these. I believe it's just, I got it like Easy Lenormand, whatever. It's the style that I wanted. I don't have the exact name for you because I keep mine in my little baggie. But yeah, so they had a big white border. Now the good thing about these though is that it didn't really mess up the back side, which I was excited about. So they still look good on the back. So that was definitely a win for me. Maybe gonna do some edging on these. I know I'm gonna do the black, but I'm kind of waiting because I think I want to do the modification of the back on these Gypsy Oracle cards. So I want to wait to put that before I edge, because then if you put another, you know what I mean. I don't want to do it twice. So there you go. Then I have my Rider-Waite that I modified. I took all those bright borders off. I am excited though because I am getting the Centennial borderless that should be in a day or so, because man, I much prefer the tea stain look. These are so bright. They're so bright. I appreciate the vibrancy of the print, but at the same time I just like a tea stain vintage look, you know what I mean? So everybody knows what this deck looks like, but there you go. I trimmed those edges off, and these, I haven't decided what I want to edge them in yet. I don't know if I want to do black or maybe go with the blue. I don't know. So I haven't done it yet. Then, what next? Oh, I'll show you these. I love this deck, the Illuminated Tarot. I feel like, because this is 53 cards. This is a 53 card deck. And my grandfather read cards, but he read playing cards. And I don't know why, it just makes me feel closer to him when I read these. But you can see the difference. I wanted to show you this from the box. Like, they had a really big white edge. To the point it was just, it made them big and bulky. Because, again, like you can see, this is still a really nice sized deck. Let me see if I can show you kind of the comparison. So it's wider, a little bit shorter after I cut it. But they had really huge borders. It left a really pretty back still. Like, everything still looks intact. But then it just made all these images pop. Another thing I like about this deck, okay, so this is the 2 of diamonds, which correspond with pentacles, but then it also corresponds with the High Priestess. So you get layers in this deck. Maybe I'll do a full review. But these are bright and shiny. See, there's another one. These are bright, they're fun, they're very interesting artwork, which I like even more because it's like so different. I haven't decided what I want to edge these in either. I'm thinking maybe a navy blue. So there's a lot that I haven't edged yet just because I'm indecisive. No worries, right? Let's see. Then I have what most people do, the Druid Craft, because these were huge cards too. Again, I have really big hands, and these still feel huge without the white border. Now, some people cut, I don't know why it mattered that I turned that over, I'm just showing the border. Anyway, some people cut this whole green border off. I left it on because I left the bottom on. Y'all, let me explain to you why my hands look like this. I just noticed them. I have scrubbed and scrubbed. This is not dirt, it is paint. I did an acrylic pour this morning. If you follow me on Instagram, I put it on my story, but I made a complete mess. My first one came out like garbage, so then I dipped it. And then my second one came out pretty great. I was excited. This is the first time I've ever done it. And I have scrubbed my poor hands and my fingernails, and it just won't come out. Like, I got it all over the place. So this is not dirt, it's paint. So, side note. Anyway, I wanted to keep the words here at the bottom for now. I'm moving my whole thing. Like, everything is shaking. No earthquake. I just keep banging into my desk for whatever reason. So yeah, I wanted to keep the words at the bottom for now because when I first got it, as most of you know, like, some of them are a little different. You know, like Judgment is Rebirth. The Devil is different. Sorry. We have the Lord and the Lady. I don't know why that mattered to me. I still know what cards they are. I just wanted them there. So maybe I'll eventually take that bottom off and take the border off. But I just really liked the dynamic of it, so I kind of kept that on there. Haven't edged these yet because I haven't decided if I want to modify the back. You can see where it cut off the copyright, and you know, they have the little edges. So it's not super beautiful on the back. So I was considering changing the back before I decided to edge on this. One of my favorite modified decks. I did this because I just thought it was so much fun, and I loved the way it came out. I actually like the deck more, if that makes any sense. Wisdom of the Oracle. Not something I use super often, but after modifying it, I absolutely love it. So there are the backs. Big white border used to be around, so I cut all the white border off, which left beautiful pictures here. These are really shiny. Some are upside down. But it made the pictures stand out, you know, the cards stand out. And then, my favorite part, I edged this. See if you can get right there, maybe. I edged these in like a teal green to kind of like, it looks funny like this, but it's really beautiful. That dark teal green that's in the backs and is in so many of the cards, like this one here. So I don't know, I love it so much. So I was really happy with the way that this one came out. What else do I have? Oh, the Tattoo Tarot. So before, the Tattoo Tarot had a big white border, drawing number, copyright number. They look like this. So I decided to throw my cards all over the place. BRB. So I decided to take all the borders off and edge them in red. Now I considered doing them in black, but I find the red in these cards are so dynamic that it just really set it off. I'm gonna do maybe a review about this deck, but I know there's so many people that have done it already. I have a really strong like love-hate relationship with this deck. Just the artwork, some of it is just so disappointing, while others is so stunning. So I found that modifying this one helped a lot with the connection to this deck, because now I feel like it resonates a little more. There's still one or two cards that I'm just like, ugh, I really want to just take them out of the deck kind of thing. But all in all, I found the modification really helped me connect more to this deck. Then I have my Game of Thrones, which I did not take the border off because it doesn't really bother me much, but I did edge this in black. You can kind of see my light kind of shines on it. It makes it look kind of weird. But I do love having these edged in black because it does kind of correspond with the whole feel of the card. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't. I don't know why I'm showing you. I didn't do anything to that except for kind of fuck up some edges. If I'm being honest. The marker that I used was garbage. And I messed up some of the edges, so we just won't talk about that. But it didn't really bother me much because, I mean, this one was pretty obvious too. But in most cases, along the edges of these cards, they have little lines and marks. So even my mess up just didn't look too bad. So I was okay with that. Then my last two are my newest. And this one, which is the Fairy Lights Tarot, which I'm going to do a... you can see they come together. I'm going to do a video showing all the pairs and stuff. But I took off this gray border off of the sides. You can see here, this is what it looked like before. So I just took the sides off just so I could connect them a little better. Just because I thought it was so unique. And I'm going to be using this a lot next month, in June. So in a few days. So I'm going to be working with this a lot more. So I wanted to make sure that my edges were off so I could do some journaling about the connections, things like that. Thought it was super fun. And my last one is, I call it its little companion. It's really not. But they're both by the same artist. Maybe it is. Maybe it is a companion. I don't know. But that is the Tarot of the Secret Forest. So I cut the edges off again on these, just on the sides. And then I edged them in black. Now with this one, I also, on the dark side, because I read through the little white book and there were some differences in the meanings of these cards. So we have the cup. You can see that's why I didn't cut the bottom or the top off. First off, because most of them don't have what's in the picture, so you really wouldn't know. You would have to just kind of use it as an oracle maybe. But anyway, I digress. On the back side is the black, but on there I used a little marker and wrote the keyword, like the main keyword for each card. I was only going to do it for the ones that kind of differed, but then I was like, I'm just going to do it for everything. I did it for every minor arcana, not the major arcana. So you have like a separation here. For the 7 of Swords, so beautiful. On the back side, you'll see appearance. So appearances can be deceiving. The Ace of Pentacles, or the 1 in this one, is matter. So I kind of did that. There's strength. But you can see how much better they look. Let me see if I have card you can see on the sides. Not really. Doesn't compare, but you can kind of see the difference of how big they used to be versus how big they are now. So I really do love this deck. This deck is the shit for some shadow work, just saying. Because it's dark, I find, on both sides. Just really heavy deck, like emotionally a really heavy deck. Environmental diversity for this 5 of Pentacles, which is, I find, different. I mean, it's similar but different. So I just thought writing them on the back, because again, like, I may or may not use the black and white side, but I like the layer to it. So yeah, so those are my modified decks. I'm constantly rearranging and modifying more. Like I said, I want to get more into changing up the backs, to just kind of personalize my decks, and I feel like it's important to do that sometimes with certain decks, whereas others, I'm like, don't touch them, they're perfect. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys soon.